All right. Shalom Yashrala. Call halal Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shah. Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shah. Waharakakodash Brakatham. Once again, I'd like to give double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great River Stone who rule well. Salutations to the select number of Akyam pushing this truth and sincerity in four corners of the round earth. And salutations to the select number of Akwat out there listening. What I'd like to get into, I have an excerpt of a video that's going into, the current state of the food industry. It's really tanking, and it's all through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Shah that all this is happening. But I'm going to let the excerpt of this video play, and I'm going to get some scriptures.
Certainly is a big one. Wendy's is slimming down. Where's the beef? Announcing plans to close hundreds of locations through next year as Americans tighten the belt financially. Take Burger King, Lord, not Wendy's, not Wendy's. It's the latest sign of a dining dip across casual and fast food chains. Chipotle says 100K or less earners and Gen Z diners are eating out less. The CEO telling investors on the company's earnings call, this group is facing several headwinds, including unemployment, increased student loan repayment, and slower real wage growth. From burgers and burritos to a salad slowdown, Sweetgreen is also warning about a younger customer pullback.
You're seeing some pressure. We've heard it from Chipotle recently, from Sweetgreen, and from some others that really serve that Gen Z customer, and seeing a little bit of a drop-off in sales.
Many known brands are now aiming to win back cost-conscious diners, with Applebee's owner Dine Brands Global and McDonald's pushing to focus on value.
McDonald's is putting value back on the menu.
McDonald's same-store sales were up in the last quarter despite an industry-wide crunch, driven largely by extra value meals and
It's like striking chicken gold.
the return of the snack wrap. Bloomin' Brands, operator of Outback Steakhouse, Carrabba's, and Bonefish Grill, says it's going back to basics, investing $75 million in part to simplify menus and remodel some restaurants. Analysts say if consumers continue to ditch dining out, expect more menu changes, promos, and possibly more store closures. Right, so with these trends, value deals are the new battleground for big brands. And while customers may be trading convenience to save on costs, it's clear America...
Hey, and there you have it, man. Things are becoming more, visibly, what's the word that I'm looking for? Just clear. Everything is clear. The writing's on the wall now. Okay. The writing is on the wall, and this is Ezekiel chapter 4, and it's talking about the siege. The siege of Jerusalem, right? Like we always say, it's a people before it's a place, man. Okay, and guess what? Our people will be affected, and every usually when in any crisis, I believe I was watching PBS. Had to been a year two. I'll be fair. Had to been 2.5 to 3 years ago when the pandemic had happened, right? And these Edomites was like, look, anytime there's a crisis, epidemic, or pandemic, those groups of minorities or people of color, aka Israelites, okay, you so-called Negroes, Native Americans, you so-called Jamaicans, you so-called Haitians, okay, you so-called Puerto Ricans, you so-called Mexicans, you so-called Uruguayans, and so forth. Any you South American, Central American, the Northern Kingdom, and of course the Southern Kingdom is the Negroes, the Jamaicans and Haitians, right? You will always be hit the hardest, man. You will always be the brunt of it all, per se. You're gonna be hit the hardest, man. And it's evident, it's set up through the spirit and power of prophecy, right? So I'm gonna get Ezekiel 4, verse 13. And Yahweh said, even thus shall the children of Israel eat their defiled bread among the Gentiles, whither I will drive them. Where are we now? Right? We're in North America, the Western Hemisphere, you know, and the Lord is getting busy, and all this prophecy is unfolding, man. You know, and I'll say this, man. Look, you know, we understand what lawful foods to eat, right? You know, but I will say this, for brothers and sisters who are, frequenting fast food joints, just weighing yourself off to the best of your capability, man. Try to, cook more for yourself, do the best you can with healthy alternatives, because in this captivity, we only got one body, right? So you want to be good to your body, right? You don't want to put trash in it, and guess what? I'm talking to myself first and foremost. I've struggled with that. I've struggled with that because what, first and foremost, is so-called lawful, right? As far as like, we know it's like no, we know it's not pork that we're to be consuming, and seafood, right, and other abominable foods unto the Most High, right? If you see, you may want some grilled chicken or here and there and so forth, but if possible, cook at your crib, man. And if you go to high end restaurants, hey, keep, do your best to keep that to a minimum. Just be wise, man, in how you move. I really just wanted to touch on that because, if a brother goes to a burger joint or, to a chicken spot, they're not going off of being wicked, but you gotta be mindful of what you're putting into your body at the same time and what's going on. Here it is, McDonald's pretty much deviated from the value menu, and now their pockets are hurting. Okay, because of all these tariffs and inflation, a lot of people have resorted to cooking at the crib. Like, you know what? I don't need that shit anyway, right? I just want to make that, point, that clarification. Verse 14. Then said I, Lord, our power, behold, my soul hath not been polluted, for from my youth up, even till now, have I not eaten of that which dieth of itself, or is torn in pieces, neither came there abominable flesh into my mouth. And it's talking about animals that's died of sickness. Look, we know what we consuming on a surface level, but when you dig deeper, we don't know what the hell we consuming. We're in captivity, man. So it sucks, man. And that's why I say, just be mindful, be not over righteous much. Okay? And matter of fact, bear with me, Baba Kusha. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 16. Be not righteous over much, neither make thyself over wise. Why shouldest thou destroy thyself? Right? Because if you're thinking constantly overthinking, man, you could do a lot of you can cause yourself a lot of health issues, man. And that could also trigger mental health issues, man. Because you always, what's this? We just look for certain ingredients as, hey, Abarazah, this is not in here. We got to understand it. We got Google. Google's your friend, right? To see what these the ingredients or whatever we're consuming contains, and just, and judge from there, because if you do that, you're going to trigger yourself health wise, and then you're going to, trigger your mental health as well. And that's not and that's not good. I don't want any other Akyam and Akwat out here, becoming ill due to, doing what he doing with his food, man. It is what it is, man. Eat what's lawful, right? Verse 17, be not over much wicked. Okay, don't sit here and just get careless. Okay, bro, if it's shrimp mingled in there or some BS, like that, or it's pork right here, but nah, bro, put that back, put that down. We know, let's not be simple. That's why it states, and be not over much wicked, neither be thou foolish. Why shouldest thou die before thy time? Don't, because any and everything that we start learning that contains particular things, bro, you pretty much just gonna Your stomach's going to start eating on your backbone really at this point. Just straight up. Just straight up. So, do what we know is right and do what's lawful and rehearse the righteous acts to the best of our ability. Okay, I just want to make that point, man, because, and the Lord sees that, man, brothers and sisters, striving, to follow the dietary laws to the best of our ability, man. We're in hell, man. Okay, back in verse 14, then said I, Lord, my power, behold, my soul hath not been polluted, for from my youth up, even till now have I not eaten of that which dieth of itself, or is torn in pieces, neither came there abominable flesh into my mouth. Okay. Verse 15. Then he said unto me, Lo, I have given thee cow's dung for man's dung, and thou shalt prepare thy bread therewith. Okay. And that's what we all these chemicals and so forth, that's why the scriptures say there's no new thing under the sun, man. Jake is eating all type of things, man. Even though, we're eating the things to the best of our ability, but think about 2/3 of our people. See, it's hitting them now. It's a lot of, and to be quite honest, a lot of things have hit our people. A lot of our people are just stiff-necked and proud. A lot of Jake will tell you that, even for medication. I'll never forget. It was probably had to be close to 8 years ago, man. Jake, we're talking, cool older Jake. But the man was on anywhere from 4 to 8 different prescriptions. And as he's gathering his prescription, like, man, I know I shouldn't be taking these. He already know. Ain't no telling who that man was related to. He possibly could have had a brother who knew, who's in the truth doing the work, or Jake into holistic care and whatnot, and all the holistic medicines and whatnot. Knowing, that's the route to go. First and foremost is prayer with Yahweh Bashem Yahshua and having faith. But what? Because our medicine it comes from the earth, man. Our true medicine, not no damn prescription, man. Because to be honest, that a lot of the pharmaceutical the pharmaceutical industry, now they get all their medicine from the earth, but what do? They step on it. In other words, they add, they add their special touch. Okay. So, he knows what's up, man. Okay. Let me reread verse 15 again. Then he said unto me, Lo, I have given thee cow's dung for man's dung, and thou shalt prepare thy bread therewith. Okay. So we're eating jacked up shit. Even when we go to Whole Foods, Central Market, Sprouts, but we're doing it to the best of our ability, man. But guess what? We're coming into a time, Look when the government was shut down, when people literally didn't have no food. Pantries were shaking in their boots. Shit, they a food pantry. They supposed to be locked and loaded, man. But think how much more when once again, because that's not the end of that, man. Government shutdowns and inflation and budgets. That's not the end of that just because the government opened back up. Okay, it's more things to come. It's about to be more famines and pestilences, okay, and collapses going on. Okay, verse 16. Moreover, he said unto me, Son of man, behold, I will break the staff of bread in Jerusalem, and they shall eat bread by weight and with care. Okay. Because what? Hey, a lot of people going to stop these cookouts, these big kickbacks, doing it big, which a lot of people have cut out. Why? Because a lot of things are higher now. Why? Because a lot of people weren't making the money they once were making. Why? Because a lot of jobs are not available. There's still employment out here, make no mistake, but, some of these wages is a slap in the face for the work that's being required of you. Like, bro. This system is not even providing a livable wage, man. To be quite honest with you, let alone if you're a parent, the provider protector, if you're the primary breadwinner, man, this place is cooked, man. Okay, this place is cooked along with food options. Okay. Like I said, we're going to do things to the best of our ability and rehearse the righteous acts, right? Okay. Let me reread verse 16 in its entirety. Moreover, he said unto me, Son of man, behold, I will break the staff of bread in Jerusalem, and they shall eat bread by weight and with care, and they shall drink water by measure and with astonishment. Okay. So a lot of, there's fear that's being put into Jake because you're finally getting it. You thought, you were just gonna be able to carry on and like these big food influencers, which, hey, I'll be honest, a lot of if it's lawful, a lot of the food looks delicious. But guess what? It ain't gonna be a lot of those food reviews anymore. But guess what? If those food reviews do carry on, guess what? You're gonna have to be ready to get down with the get down. Okay? That C-hip, that MOTB. Okay, you want to keep enjoying these lamb chops and these baseball size oxtails and all that. Yeah, you're gonna have to get down with the get down as well, man. So that's gonna be another thing, man. Okay. Verse 17, that they may want bread and water and be astonished one with another and consume away for their iniquity. Okay. So a lot of Jake is about to hit rock bottom, man. Okay. And that's gonna be what solely due to Jake's unwillingness to repent, your scoffing, okay, your mocking of the prophets. First and foremost, your mocking of Yahweh Bashim Yahshua. And what's that? Mocking the Holy Scriptures. Okay, a lot of Jake got judgment coming their way for that. Okay, so there's no new thing under the sun. Guess what? All these verses I just read, you're gonna have to answer for that, man. Okay, because once it's up once again, like we know through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahshua, yeah, bro, it's definitely about to be up for a lot of these people, man. Bear with me, Baba Kushah. It's verse 21 in 2nd Ezra chapter 16, verse 21. Behold, victuals shall be so good, cheap upon the earth. Look what they're resorting to. They bringing back the they're bringing back the Big Mac value meal, bro. That hasn't been seen in years. You don't even think there's a meal on a lot of restaurants. So like you don't see those type of prices on those restaurants menu, man. Hell, a lot of restaurants now, man, and because, of course, inflation and plus a lot of these big wigs and corporate and these different entities, they're just there for the buck, to line your pockets. They don't give a shit about you, okay? Because if you look at particular places, they stop when they stop with those value meals or combos. Well, they're selling you burgers for $10, the fries $5, the drink $3. But now that a lot of people, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahshua, a lot of people, hey, some people are fastening their belts. Some people are waking up to like, man, this BS. Then also, what triggered it a lot, to be honest with you, when the health industry started gaining traction, then you had the infamous What in the Health documentary, okay? Then you had plant-based, but then they started getting called out because they started putting BS. That's why I stated that in Ezekiel. Okay? That's why I clearly stated that in the 4th chapter, starting at verse 13. Eating our food defiled, man. You know, everybody thought they had something special going on with the plant-based meals or what have you, but come to find out they was putting garbage in that too, man. So now McDonald's is bringing back the Big Mac value meal. These niggas about to pump damn near 100 million, a quarter of a, no, not quarter, but a 3/4, pretty much close to 100 million, 75 million into just really just destroying people anyway, man. You know, for one, it'd be different if, you know, you could low key kind of, you know, like we always say, you know, we could taste the difference. Coming up, the food was a lot better. You know, it just is what it is. The food was a lot better back then. But it's clearly trash now, man. You know, it's always been unhealthy, but you didn't, bro, when I was younger, you know, before coming into the truth, you didn't feel as guilty. First and foremost, you didn't feel guilty. Coming into the truth, like, man, I probably shouldn't be eating this. But hey, it's lawful, right? It's no abominable ingredients that we know of, right? So it's like, it's food. Food was intended here, you know, for nourishment. You know, of course, not to be gluttonous, but for nourishment. You know, but let me continue to read back in verse 21. Behold, victuals shall be so good, cheap upon the earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case. And when all these value meals get brought back, you know, that's going to what? That's going to allow people what? To stretch the little so-called dollar. Then especially a lot of people who are on what? Unemployment. Some people who have been unemployed. Some people who are employed. Like, man, you know, I get to save, you know, some people just are not disciplined enough to take their lunch every day, right? So eating out became a routine, you know. So if eating out has become a routine, that's more than likely, that's running your pockets of anywhere from $80 to $120 a week. I say this from experience. I've been there, you know. When this, and a lot of times, you know, it was a mixture, you know, between like food trucks, you know, where they cook it right before you, so you feel a little more relieved, you know, more secure with your food. And then, of course, your fast food chains, you know, that, you know, had that number 9 that you like, you know, with the special, you know, with the yum sauce or whatever, you know. But it's just factual, man. It's just facts, you know. So a lot of people going to view it, oh man, if I'm only spending $8 or $10, I'm saving myself anywhere from 30 to what did I say? 80 to 120. Yeah, that's $30 to $70 that you're saving yourself per week, right? That you can keep for yourself and put into your savings, a check, and invest, whatever you got going on, right? That's how a lot of people are going to view it. Okay, that's exactly what this scripture is going into. Let me reread that again, then I'll finish off on verse 22. Verse 21, behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case. And even then shall evils grow upon earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. Okay, all this judgment that's going on in the earth. Hey, the SNAP benefits. Okay, some people are getting some of the money back. Hey, some people just getting $16. That's gonna start coming with what? Famine. The sword. Hey, there's been a lot of judgment, man. Okay, there's been a lot of judgment. Every time you turn on the news, TV app, you fellowship with brothers, or, you know, exchanging notes and news articles and scriptures and so forth. Guess what? Someone's getting judged. Okay. So we're seeing the sword and the famine. Okay. And the great confusion. Okay. With that, what? Epstein files. Who's who? Did they really do this? Or who they, you know, like, it matters, but it doesn't matter, because if anything, it's more of a distraction, right? And then you have what? You have the tariff rebate checks from Trump, right? The you know, a lot of people are fighting over. Hey, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Prophecy is still going to continue to roll. Okay? But what? We're in Babylon, so the confusion is going to remain great, right? Until Yahushua HaMashiach comes back and delivers the elect. And then after that, what? Destroying, baby. This place is out of here. It's on its pinky toe. Verse 22. For many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine. Yep, that's going to come. That's going to come. And the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. Right? Everything's becoming what, a police state. You have ICE. Okay, you're gonna have international troops and so forth. A lot of things are taking place. A lot of things are being publicized on the news freely. Like, it's in your face. Like, yeah, nigga, we did that. It's going down. We got it popping, you know. But I just want to make mention of that. And Abba Ratazada's lesson has been edifying for the body. Okay, so with that, once again, call Halal Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shah, Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shah, Waharaka Kodash Brakatham. Once again, I'd like to give double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Salutations to the select number of Akyam, pushing his truth and sincerity in four corners of the round earth. And salutations to the select number of Akwat that they're listening. Shalom.